What do most Fortune 500 executives have in common? After more than 100 episodes recorded with those very executives from companies like Disney, Amazon, Netflix, Cigna, and Google, the answer is clear. They learned lessons in leadership from the fields and courts of their high school and collegiate sports teams. Some of our guests' athletic experience earned them a place in their sports Hall of Fame, like Chick-fil-A Chairman Dan Cathy. Some hung up their cleats after high school, like Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian, while others, like Condoleezza Rice, claimed they were terrible in their sport. But no matter their skill level, they have all told me that being a part of a team taught them lessons they still use as leaders today. In partnership with Maxwell Leadership, I'm your host, Don Yeager, here to give you an all-access pass to genuine, authentic, fireside chat-like conversations with today's business icons so that you can create powerful, positive change in your own organization. This is Corporate Competitor Podcast. With me for today's episode is one of the most genuine guests we've ever had, Bob McClaren. Bob spent a decade as the president of business operations for the Houston Astros before taking over his family's cattle ranch. Today, as the CEO of 44 farms, he keeps the art of ranching alive, serving the highest quality beef to his customers, as his family has for 5 generations, as one of the largest Angus breeders in the United States. Today, I'm excited to hear about their partnership with Walmart and his experience hosting Walmart's executive team in his barn. Remember to download our bonus resource with fill-in-the-blank notes and reflection questions on corporatecompetitorpodcast.com/161.
People do business with people. That's the fun part, getting to know people and understand them and their experiences and how we can help one another. Man, when you help somebody be more successful, there's just nothing more fulfilling than that. And when we do that, we don't have to worry about our bottom line. It takes care of itself if you just care about others enough that you're willing to put your agenda behind theirs.
Bob, thanks for joining us.
Don, thank you. What an honor to be with you and your listeners today.
Well, it's been fun getting ready for today. Your stories are so magical. So looking forward to all you're going to share with us. You know, there's no doubt that your favorite things are 2 areas where you've made a huge impact: baseball and beef. You say there's a parallel between building a winning baseball team and building a successful cattle ranch. I have to hear, what's the parallel?
Well, I certainly didn't know about it when I started. I came to understand that there are many parallels in terms of running a business and building a team, and then the development of great players, both in baseball and our team at 44 Farms. There are superstars within those cattle, and then there's teammates that are really good at doing specific things.
And then there are minor league players.
And there are minor league players. When I was with the Astros, we would fill a minor league system every year with some 200 players, all with the intention and the hope of finding maybe a half a dozen that could be big leaguers one day. Getting everybody motivated to achieve their very best and find those diamonds in the rough is the fun part of it. And we see the same thing in the development of a lot of these cattle.
It's funny because I guess I just kind of thought as all cattle being the same.
I thought the same thing. They're a commodity. That's right. What people see the beef.
One cow next to another.
They're all the same. But there are so many differences from the breeds to the various characteristics that each and every one of these cattle do different than other cattle. We're really in the genetics business, trying to find the best cattle to provide the best beef.
Funny, the genetics business, we've made reference already. You've made reference to your work with the Astros, the building of Minute Maid Park, one of the favorite fields in MLB. Nearly every day for that decade, you're around all of this talent. 200 minor leaguers hoping to find 5 or 6.
Right.
Boy, what limited odds that is, right? What leadership lessons did you learn from being connected as you were to so many high performing athletes and that pursuit of excellence?
Well, a lot of lessons learned. Some of them, it took me a long time to relearn them each time I made a mistake, doing the same old things again and again that didn't work. Scouting is so important in baseball, as it is in all of our businesses that we're involved in. Selecting the right people for your organization. Our scouting staff, which, speaking of being a storyteller, boy, those men and women, they can tell stories all day long about the good and the bad and the ugly of selecting great players. And first thing always pops in my mind about scouting is Albert Pujols, 13th round draft pick. Everybody now says they know that he was going to be a first round Hall of Famer. And not back then. A guy like Mookie Betts, who plays for the Dodgers today, one of the great outfielders in the game, can play the infield, can do everything, an MVP sort of player every year. He'll be a Hall of Famer. He was a 5th round pick, and everybody said he was too small. His bat never would come around, and just tons of stories like that. That's where most of the great superstars come from, and they just develop and come into their own. And the same thing with developing a management team and filling the roster, so to speak, with folks that have the same hopes and dreams of being everything God created them to be. That's what we all try to look for in other people. And that's what you look for in a teammate, that man and woman next to you that's going to do everything they can to help the team be better.
You know, I had the chance a few years ago to write a book with John Smoltz.
Oh, wow.
22nd round draft pick.
There you go.
First ballot Hall of Famer, as you said.
Yep.
And it's true. So many of those great players, so many people who are really talented, they weren't identified. I mean, everybody didn't know right off the bat that they were going to be extraordinary. But what makes that work is a development model.
Yes.
You have to help people grow. That's kind of one of the things that's interesting in minor league baseball. They have the different levels, and you're constantly trying to grow people up with the goal, obviously, of trying to get them onto the major league roster. As a business leader, trying to build out other organizations, how do you use that model? How do you grow people?
Well, we have different segments. We have a lot of cowboys on our ranch. We have a lot of cattle that we own and develop, as we were just talking about, but also we procure cattle in our beef businesses from other ranchers. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things we're so excited about. We have 1,200 ranchers from around the United States that are in our program that we call Prime Pursuits. Prime Pursuits is a team of folks that were not employed by us, but yet they're part of our community. We have been able to bring those men and women all over the U.S. to come together for a common cause, which is to provide great, great beef in our program with Walmart. Through that, we're providing high quality, non-hormone treated animals to over 600 stores of Walmart in the Southeast. It's so exciting to get everybody from all of these different backgrounds together to work towards a common cause. And the product is extraordinary, which is so wonderful. Walmart's excited about it. We're excited about it. To your point, we have our own team that's trying to manage all of these different ranches from around the country that we've been able to bring into our organization, so to speak, in our community. So we have to sell what we're doing to them, the concept and the idea and the big, big vision. And then we have to get down to the very organic piece of this, is developing great, great cattle. One of the things that we try to find in all of our teammates is a common cause. Why are you in the beef business? We believe that it's not about us, it's about the consumer, providing the consumer a wonderful eating experience. And then, this is so cool to me, bringing them around the table as a family with friends, celebrating the Wednesday night dinner or the birthday or the graduation party, whatever it may be, big or small, bringing folks around the table, talking about the issues of the day, the victories, the defeats, and how we're going to work together as a family and as a friendship group, community group. And then Walmart is helping us provide this at their everyday low price. It's a big vision, Don, and getting everybody to believe in it.
What strikes me there, Bob, is that too often people only think myopically about what they do. They think I unload bags at an airline from one plane and I put them on a rack. But if you see a bigger purpose in what you do, you have people who could say, I'm a cowboy. I move cattle from one place to the next. Or you could have them believe they're part of someone's family dinner.
Yeah.
They're part of something bigger.
Well, cowboys are the original rugged individualists, bringing those men and women into a community that is working together to provide this wonderful product. They're very sophisticated. They know their business. They know how to run it, but bringing them all together is a new thing for a lot of them. But we have found people generally want to be part of something bigger than themselves. This program certainly provides that opportunity on a very large scale. We're in the genetics business, providing great Black Angus cattle to ranchers across the U.S. Out of that, we developed our own 44 Farms Steaks program, which is our beef in over 700 food service operations, from fine dining to hamburger places. Out of that, Walmart came to see us back in 2016 and said, hey, beef is not one of our strong points in our stores. People don't think of us as the place to go for great beef. We've got to get better. Can you help us do that? The CEO of Walmart US at the time and several of his leadership folks and board of directors members came to our ranch in Central Texas. We spent the day together just teasing apart this piece of their business. They said, we want to win fresh. And I thought, what does that mean? Well, fresh is produce, and the leader of it all is beef. People come to a store and select that grocery store for fresh. In this case, beef leads the way, followed by produce.
Interesting.
Yeah, everything else mostly in a store is pretty much a commodity. You buy Kraft macaroni and cheese at every grocery store,
It's always Kraft macaroni and cheese.
That's right. Hard to beat that. But beef leads the way. They said they got to get better. So we just started looking at how, with our program, our genetics, how do we get a community of ranchers to be a part of this? We could never raise that many cattle that they have a need for. So we had to go out and bring others into this collective group. It's funny, Don, when I was in the second grade, my second grade teacher called my mom and dad for a parent-teacher meeting, and they said, hey, we just can't get Bob to stop creating games for his friends. Every day he'd go around and try to put up a basketball game for after school going, or a baseball game, or this and that. I guess that's how I got my start in baseball and all in sports, putting together the teams. I love to play, but apparently I was better at putting the schedule together and getting all the folks to come do it. But I always loved recruiting people to do something, whatever it may be. Out of that, over the years, I got into track and loved that. Bob Seger was a great, great hero of mine, the pole vaulter, and Randy Matson. This is going back a while. But anyway, that was really an individual sport. And I went to law school, and that's kind of an individual profession. I was given a great opportunity to go to work for McClaren Company in Temple, Texas, as their first lawyer in their business. And the leader of that, Drayton McClain, great businessman.
Yeah.
He taught me so much. And he always told me, he said, Bob, if you come with McClain Company, I know you'll be a fine lawyer and successful, but you can do so much more in life if you want to work with a team. We moved to Temple, Texas, and 2 years later, the company was sold 2 years after that, he bought the Houston Astros. It was there that I really saw teamwork in bringing all these different disciplines together, working for that one common cause of being successful. Success is defined in so many ways because we always said we can't guarantee a win at the game tonight, but we can certainly make sure the fans have an experience that they can talk about the rest of their lives, helping people feel welcome, making sure the food was right and the environment is safe and enjoyable, with a great hope that through our players that we would have a good team.
The leadership of Walmart coming to your ranch. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
I mean, you start thinking about that. But understanding and the self-awareness at Walmart that they were lacking.
Yes.
We all look at companies that are really super successful and we think it's because they're successful. The truth is, they're successful because they're looking at what they're not successful at and they're repairing that. What did that teach you when you sat there with that leadership team and you heard a company as great as Walmart talking to you about a weakness they had in their delivery chain?
Oh, I can remember that day sitting in our barn where we all met around a big table. And I'm thinking, these high-powered executives have come to Cameron, Texas.
To sit in a barn.
Yes, to sit in a barn and talk about beef. What struck me is the humility of these folks to come to our little ranch to talk to us about how to get better at producing and delivering a great beef product. They had so many sources to get opinions about all of this from, and they selected us. Wow. I'm humbled by it, but the humility that they possess to talk to folks that aren't on the same level in terms of volume and business acumen, that is just the most beautiful of all characteristics. But also the willingness to listen to new ideas, new ways of doing things. It really stretched us because we are providing 700 restaurants, but you're talking about a company with 2 million employees. It's just mind-boggling the volume of beef that they would need to make this successful. And they have done everything that they ever said they would do and have been tremendous teammates.
That's awesome. You constantly come back to that word teammates. It's pretty awesome because you talk a lot about the idea that everything you do is a people business.
Yes.
Yes, there's a deliverable at the end, and it is, in fact, cattle and it's beef for someone's table. But you see everything you do as a people business. Talk to me about that.
People do business with people. They don't do businesses with big companies. It comes down to that personal relationship between people within the organization, our customers, vendors, getting everybody to believe in a common cause and goal. That's the fun part, getting to know people and understand them and their experiences and how we can help one another. Man, when you help somebody be more successful, there's just nothing more fulfilling than that. And when we do that, we don't have to worry about our bottom line. It takes care of itself if you just care about others enough that you're willing to put your agenda behind theirs. It's amazing what can happen. And Drayton McClain, it was so wonderful in teaching me his willingness to put others first. I've just really tried to apply that to our business. I always thought if I ever owned my own business, that would be right at the top of the fundamentals of what we want to do, help others be successful. We've really made that a focus.
I love it. So you talked about your years in baseball stadiums, working a lot of night games and all kinds of crazy stuff, and the number of weak hot dogs you ate.
So true.
You said yourself, one day you were going to actually find a way to make a better hot dog. Almost like Walmart, recognizing that there's a need out there. You went to work, you came up with that idea. How can our listeners even think about this idea of taking something that they see or experience and saying, that's a hole in the universe that I can go try to solve?
Well, a better hot dog. How about that for a life vision?
But I got to tell you what, as a guy who's been to way too many ballparks and eaten way too many other weak hot dogs, I'm with you.
Well, there are some bad ones out there. There really are. Sports stadiums seem to major in providing bad hot dogs. I never thought I'd be in the business of producing them. But when you take great beef and then convert those to hot dogs, well, it's just hard to mess it up. I mean, quality begets quality. We tried a lot of different formulas and it's all natural. That's a big part of it. People love our hot dogs. We had these great New York strips and ribeyes and fillets, and people always say, tell me about the hot dogs. That's the best hot dog I've ever had. Thrills my heart. You got to try the hot dogs someday. Man, they're really, really super.
That's the hot dog we'll find in Walmart.
Yes. And on our website, 44farms.com and 44steaks.com.
I'm going to put that hot dog on my list of things to try, maybe over an upcoming weekend. You know, when you transitioned into the world of McClaren Partners and the 44 Farms, there's this family business that's 5 generations old. And so there's tradition, there's timeless principles. For any business, how do you mix honoring your traditions and constantly keep your mind open for progress?
It's funny, when I was with the Astros, I would get letters weekly from men and women around the country in every type of business and profession that just wanted to be in baseball or professional sports.
I hear it all the time too.
I bet you do. I can understand it. It is a difficult, time consuming life. You're working when everyone else is playing, like the restaurant business. Everybody comes on their off time to see your product and your show. Off season is as busy as the in season, and you work till midnight. You start again at 7 a.m, and it's so energizing. Not so unlike the cattle business. People love Westerns. Even today, when they're produced on the movie screen, people love the Western life, the ruggedness of it. We kind of inherit that legacy in our business. The cowboys that we have, great storytellers themselves. They love the land. They love the cattle. They take care of the cattle. I don't want to be a part of any program that can't tell the great story of the men and women that love to work and take care of cattle. There is just a bond between man and woman and the animals that is just so unique. We try to build off of that and tell that story and then develop that into how it affects the guy that runs the restaurant in Miami to the guy that has got a restaurant in Lincoln, Nebraska, and how it all comes together. And yet they're doing the same thing. They're trying to provide a great product and experience for their customer. It gets back to our legacy. That's a great place to start. We don't ever want to lose those values of honesty and integrity. And a big part of our deal, Don, I'm a Christian. I love the Lord. I want to populate heaven. I feel like that's our cause more than anything. Prayer is so important. I pray for our customers. I pray for our team every day. Boy, I'd love to know every one of the 1,200 producers in our Walmart program better. We're trying to get to know them. We're trying to tell stories and do videos about them all. I don't know if we'll ever get to 1,200 of them, but we're sure going to give it a try because they're all different. They're all different, and they have a different life experience. That's fascinating.
You want to know the stories of the people you're in business with.
Yes.
Everyone from the Cowboys to your business partners. How can leaders get to know their employee stories or partner stories better? What are the kind of questions that you see good leaders ask?
Number one, you have to have an interest in others. I mean, you just have to have an interest in others. Some of the technical aspects of jobs and whatnot are not always everybody's strength. I just particularly love getting to know people and their story and wanting and desiring to share that story because it's worthy of telling. A good meal is great, but it's the camaraderie and the fellowship that develops out of that meal. That's why the big meal at the end of a conference or a big meeting is always something people look forward to, because they're breaking down barriers, breaking down issues in their business or their life. And we get to be at the center of the plate of all that.
The center of the plate. That's a good visual right there.
Yeah.
The phrase that I've heard you say often is every day matters.
Mm.
Baseball is a 162 game sport. It's hard to care about every day. There are a lot of days you just worn out for the night before or whatever it is. And how do I care about today?
Boy, you're so right about baseball. You know the game well. 162 games, those guys, it's tough.
It's a grind.
Middle of the summer and the day game after a night game, it's tough. It's tough. I don't care how talented you are. You're beat up and tired, but every game matters and every day matters, and how we approach it. It's really the approach. Not every day is a great day. There are issues and things you didn't anticipate, and you got your to-do list. First thing in the morning, things change. What you thought was important becomes pushed down the list. But it's the mindset. Hey, one day at a time, one issue at a time. Every person that we meet with, I spend so much of my time every day, as most leaders do, meeting with others. Honestly, I have to try to take a few minutes between each one and just ask God to help me make this next meeting that I'm having the most important experience in these people's lives, so that we can accomplish something. Man, without that prayer and belief that God's walking with me and is faithful to help me when I seek him, I don't know if I can make it.
Yeah.
But through my experience as a lawyer, I practiced for 10 years. That really taught me to be prepared. I mean, a judge will
Beat you up,
tear you apart if you're not prepared. Been there, done that, and seen it happen to others. And I thought, oh boy, that's embarrassing. You want to be prepared. Your clients deserve that. I've tried to take that into each of these meetings and things that we do every day, whether it's our team or someone else or a customer. Try to remember how valuable their time is. Let's make the most of this time together and come out with a plan at the end of it to help them solve their problem or resolve an issue that we may have, and try to have some sort of resolution at the end of it.
You have a tagline, know your rancher.
Yes, sir.
But it's more than a slogan. You really lean into this idea of trying to understand not just who they are, but where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the ways you actually try to wrap your arms around where people are going?
Well, one of the ways, I mean, we're just so blessed to have this opportunity, is through food. Baseball is a eating sport. You go to an NBA game, you go to a college basketball game, football, NFL, people don't really go to eat. They come to a baseball game, they always eat. Families go to baseball games. Families don't generally go to the other big professional sports games. And women, the mother makes 50 or 75% of all of the social decisions for the family. And they are the ones that make decisions to go to baseball games. And baseball is a talking sport. How many football games you go where you talk to the people about all kinds of different, your guests, your family, whoever you're with, couples dating. Baseball is a huge dating environment, we found. Food's always part of that. How do we entertain? That food social experience really, really breaks down issues and breaks the ice on a lot of things, and everybody calms down a little bit.
That draws them out.
It does. And then, yes, we would love everybody to come see us. We do have an open gate policy. We give lots of tours, talk about the way we develop cattle, how we breed these cattle for the things that they need to do when they're sold and go off to other ranches. Please come see us.
To your point, it's funny. I was at Wrigley Field with my 15-year-old son. I was in Chicago for a Maxwell leadership event, and we took a day, went to Wrigley on International Hot Dog Day.
Wow.
My son downed several hot dogs because it's an eating sport.
It is.
It's a great way to put it. A lot of people in their corporate organizations talk about their team. The truth is, most corporate organizations aren't really teams in the real sense that you understand a team. Having been somebody that helped construct teams in business, if you're coaching one of us who's trying to build a team, what are some of the things we need to do to be better as leaders to draw our employees into a team?
Wow. Well, that's a powerful question. There's no substitute for spending time with them
Mm.
and getting to know them on a personal basis. I personally love doing that. Kind of comes easy, but I just think it's so important that we get to know one another and understand what their values are, and make sure before they come here that we have like vision about values, and then also the same vision about customer service, customer interaction, the relationship piece of all of what we're doing. If you have like-minded people in that way, then we can take this vision of helping others know their rancher and tell the story and why they need to give our genetics a try our beef, whatever it might be. Bring people together as often as you can. There's so many business issues, but if we can take the moment to really get to know one another, it's hard not to like someone that spends time with you and is genuinely interested in you. And when they are, you'll go to battle for them every single time. And the reciprocal is the same. Then you really have something. It really gets back to the fundamentals of making sure that our product meets the needs of others. And then we invest the time to get to know others and help them be successful.
I made a note here, and I made a lot of notes already in our conversation here, but I love that note. It's hard not to like someone who spends time with you and is genuinely interested in you.
Yes.
Boy, what a great nugget. Said with a good Texas accent, it's even better. Bob, what are the ways that people who are listening might be able to stay in touch or reach out to you and maybe even come get a visit one day?
Oh, man, it'd be great. Well, hey, our website at 44farms.com and primepursuits.com, which is our program with Walmart. Hey, my email's rmcclaren at 44 Farms. I'd love hearing from you folks. So
Look at you.
there you go.
That's great. Well, I will make sure that I will have a hot dog in your honor this weekend. Bob McClaren, I cannot thank you enough for the time, the wisdom, and the opportunity to learn from you today. Thanks for being a corporate competitor with us.
Well, thank you. And one day I want to come to your office and hear about all the memorabilia that you have there. That is so cool.
More than one person look at this and say, it looks like I robbed a Fanatics store. Bob McClaren, thank you.
Thank you, Don.
That was so much fun. I have to tell you, I had read a lot about Bob in advance. The idea of the lessons he could teach were going to be very unique to me, and I hope they were for you as well. There were two big takeaways for me today. The first was, imagine you run a farm making this really great product in beef, and suddenly you get a call from the CEO of Walmart US, and he wants to bring his leadership team as well as a number of members of his board of directors with him to come sit in your barn and learn how you make such a good product. And I love the way Bob sat there and actually took from that meeting the importance of humility and a great leader. Here they were, one of the great companies in the world, sitting in his barn asking questions, but it took humility in order for them to be able to do that. They had to acknowledge that there was something they wanted to get better at and go seek someone who could teach it to them. What a great lesson from that. He called humility the most beautiful of all characteristics among leaders. The second big takeaway for me was this effort that Bob makes now in his business to get to know the people that he's doing business with on every level, from the cowboy all the way to the business partners. That emphasis he puts on going to find and know the story, know the rancher, and then help them tell their story better to others. It's really powerful. It's hard not to like someone who spends time with you and genuinely shows interest in you. Take that moment, take that time, take that lesson, go Spend time and genuinely show interest in others. Listen with intent, and you will be a better leader too. Be a greater corporate competitor and take the lessons we took from Bob to make ourselves greater. If you could share one habit, one thing you've done consistently that allowed you to separate yourself from your competitors, what would it be? In my 30-year career, 2,500 of the greatest athletes, coaches, and leaders answered that question for me.
This is Don Yeager, who did that article I was telling you about.
Don, Dave Sims with Coach K. How you doing?
Hey, Don. How you doing, my man? Great, sir.
What they gave to me is what I'm giving to you in my online course, Journey to Greatness. Through engaging storytelling and on-demand videos, you will learn the 16 habits that will jumpstart your personal growth. I will instruct you on how to apply these winning characteristics to your life through custom workbook exercises. We are slashing the price for our podcast listeners. Lifetime access to Journey to Greatness is normally $399, but for our podcast listeners, it will be $49 with the code podcast at checkout. Click the banner on corporatecompetitorpodcast.com to enroll. I appreciate you.